Hello, hello! Today we will be making this under the sea themed art piece inspired by our Spirit Week next week. In order to make this, you are going to need different things including paint, a water cup, different colored pieces of paper, pencil, marker, glue, and scissors. Let's get started. First, you're going to need your cup of water and your watercolors and your white piece of paper, preferably hardstock, so that it doesn't go through. Because this is going to be used as the background of our ocean, you're going to need different shades of blue, different lines, shapes, and even waves. I'll be creating some waves and maybe some circles to create bubbles and things like that. After creating this texture of waves and lines and different motions, I want to fill in all that empty space with very watered down blue so that it can leave the texture but also fill in the white spaces. As that dries, I add a little bit more of our waves and texture to the top with a darker blue. And now I can set it to the side and let it dry. Now we're going to be cutting out all the things that are going to go on top of our background. I'm going to start by making some bubbles. I'm going to take a small piece of blue and fold it into fours, and then I will be cutting out circles to create bubbles. I'm going to do a smaller circle and a bigger circle so that I could have different sized bubbles as well. You can make as many as you want. Remember, once you fold your paper, that's going to create 4 of the same sized bubbles. Next, I'm going to take my green piece of paper, and with this one, we're going to create a little ocean plant. I'm going to fold it in half, and then with my pencil, I'm going to draw something that looks like tree branches to help me as a guide. As you can see, I went ahead and I cut around to help me cut out this shape. Like I said, this is going to be an ocean, and if you do not like this kind of plant in your ocean background, you do not need to add it. There will be some more simple ones that you can add. But this one's pretty neat because when you open it, it creates kind of a little tree branch, but in a seaweed coral fashion. For this next one, we will also be using green paper to create seaweed, and this one's going to be a lot more easier. You're going to want to fold it the longer way to create long looking seaweed. You can use your pencil to create a squiggly line as a guide, or if you have the ability to just cut it in a squiggly way, you can do that as well. I have practiced for many years, so it's a little bit easier for me, but if it helps you to draw a squiggly line and then cut it, you can go ahead and do that. I got 4 big pieces, and I'm actually going to use my little scraps as well because they came out pretty good. Now it is time for the fish. For this one, I'm going to be creating a clownfish, kind of like Nemo and Marlin. You can definitely use any color you want and any shape fish you want. For this one, I will be using 2 shapes, an oval and a triangle, to make it easier. I always think it's easier when you use shapes to create different creatures because it's a good guide. So for example, right here we are using an oval and a triangle to create a fish. I went ahead and I created a little one so that we can have Nemo and we can have his dad Marlin. For my next sea creature, I used the color pink to make a starfish, and my star is not perfect, but now I'm trimming it to make it the size that I want and making it look the way that I would prefer. I'm going to create another fish using 2 triangles instead of an oval, so he'll have a different shape and a different color. Once you're done with all of your creatures, you're going to start by gluing them all down. By this time, your background should be dry, so it should be a lot easier now. This art project was not only inspired by our Spirit Week for next week, but it is also inspired by the art element of space. And by that, I don't mean outer space because we're under the sea right now. By space, we're actually talking about the areas between the components of your art piece. So using all of our space in our paper and making sure that we fill it up with different pieces. As you can see, I'm filling up my space with bubbles, our creatures, and also gonna add our seaweed on top of these creatures to create kind of a depth and also show the space between the creatures and the things around them. I did end up wanting to make some of my seaweed shorter, so I didn't glue it all the way down. I'm just going to trim that edge, and we're all done with that. So now it is just time to add details to our creatures and the stuff around it. Like I said, this is your project, so you might not have the same fish I do, or you might want to do things a little bit differently, and that's okay because everybody's art is going to be different. I ended up adding 3 little fish, a starfish, and another different shaped fish that is our triangle shaped fish. Of course, you can do different fish. You can explore with different shapes like hearts, squares, diamonds, or anything you want. You can also add different patterns to your fish, or you can even add in a little lobster or crab or an octopus if you have time. And lastly, do not forget to put your name, the most important part of your art piece. Once again, I hope you enjoy this art project, and I can't wait to see how your Under the Sea project turns out, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye!